Namaste everyone. I'm delighted to be here and discuss about a very unique concept of cloud-based services. How about if I told you that I picked on cloud as a topic for today because it's monsoons here in most part of Bharat. Lame, isn't it? Then guess what? Amazon alone has announced to invest 1 trillion US dollars in Bharat for cloud. Exciting enough? Great. Hold on to the excitement for I promise to keep this session interactive, knowledge rich, and fun. Before we move on, like I always do in my sessions, I would like you to take a minute or two and note down your expectation from this session. What do you want to learn or know or hear from this session? I will for sure cover some vital aspects, but you must know what you want from your time today. We'll give you a minute or two, and your time starts now. And while you note down what you want to learn and know yourself from this session, for those of you who are followers of Lokmanya Tilak and are here with open minds to just receive an introduction to the session, the subject, that's fine too. All right. At the end of my session, during the time when we get into the question answers, please spell out if I haven't covered something that is of special interest to you. Also, during my presentation, very likely that certain things what I say may not make sense to you. If so, please speak up. For you are smart enough, and by voicing out your confusion, very likely you will do a favor on those who are smart but shy not to ask questions. Feel free to use the chat box too to your advantage. In the course of my presentation, I am going to touch upon all the three dimensions of cloud technology, namely the technological aspect, the commercial aspect, and of course, the legal aspect. You might think and wonder why technology and commercial aspects for lawyers. Well, you must note this point very well. Only those lawyers who understand business and finance well make great lawyers. That said, we will learn what are cloud services, differentiate attributes and disparities amongst private cloud, public cloud, and hybrid cloud. We'll see cloud-based applications, their advantages and challenges, key contractual terms and conditions. And at the end of it, after our question and answers, I have a special gift for all of you. Hopefully, you will have lots that will ignite your mind. Okay, let's quickly deep dive and understand what are cloud services. Remember about 10 odd years back, some of us or a generation before us had a collection of books, video cassettes, audio cassettes. About the same time, there were, and some cases still are, libraries. And I am still referring to the physical ones. There would be special place for books or video cassettes or later the CDs and DVDs, some of which are alien today. Now, analogically, your own collection of books and audios or videos in your home when is in electronic or digital form and in storage that is provided and managed by an IT service provider, that would be a cloud service. It's an attributive understanding, not a conclusive one. Just like you could visit the library and ask for book or video cassette or read or watch it and then return the same, in cloud too, you could request video, audio, books, and other contents. It's just not physical, but on IT infrastructure that is referred to as cloud. Come back to the present times. Think of any OTT platform like your Amazon Prime, Hotstar, or Ghana, or any that you may be familiar with. Remember, you can request video and songs on demand, avail and pay a monthly or an annual subscription that suits your financial needs. These are simplistic yet realistic examples of how cloud services work. Okay, we'll understand this slide bottoms up. At the base of the cloud service pyramid is the provider of infrastructure as a service, who provides infrastructure to host videos, audios, visuals, and other content. These are the likes of Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure's for ease of understanding. On top of it resides the content writer or the likes of software developers. They leverage infrastructure and cater to requirements of compiling databases. At the top of it are the likes of SAS, the organization that I work for. Allow me to take liberty to explain to you. SaaS is a global leader in analytics, and we leverage infrastructure with Microsoft Azure, who at the bottom of the pyramid is referred to as the infrastructure service provider. We have subject matter specialists who develop software and package all of these together as services for consumers. SaaS's customer base includes all those who have big data and are looking to leverage analytics to run business, including government departments, banks, insurance companies, and like I mentioned, all of those who have real big data. Now, on the basis of four major attributes being ownership, security, cost effectiveness, and area of application, the present slide is a representation of what and how a private cloud, a public cloud, and a hybrid cloud is understood. From ownership point of view, private cloud is owned by the commercial entity itself. The same entity when has cloud services received from another cloud service provider on shared basis, it is termed as a public cloud. In hybrid cloud, the organization may have its own cloud and receive cloud infrastructure as service from another organization who shares their infrastructure. Private cloud has high security standards, or let's say security standards are determined by the so-called owner of the private cloud. In a public cloud, the security standards are determined by the cloud service provider. In a hybrid cloud, one has liberty to play and apply standards that suit them well. Example, store and process sensitive data and information on private cloud. From a cost benefit point of view or expense point of view, private clouds are expensive because the organization invests in dedicated infrastructure, people to manage infrastructure, and then there is the cost of operations. While public and hybrid clouds may not be as costly because finance is shared amongst all those who avail cloud services. Small and medium-sized enterprise prefer to have their own cloud setup. Large conglomerates have public cloud, while the likes of government and research organizations prefer hybrid cloud setup. In the next slide, we'll see which top organizations use cloud-based technology. But just before that, if I may request you to please state in the chat box which industry or which company do you believe is using cloud and for what? At the cost of repetition, my request to all you listeners is please state in the chat box which industry or which company do you know or you believe is using cloud and for what. And while you do that, I have cherry picked a few examples to share my thoughts. All of you are familiar with social media. We have the likes of Facebook, Instagram, and so many of these social media apps who use cloud in one way or another. The pictures that we upload on most of these are stored in cloud. If we look at entertainment as an industry, before cloud computing came into picture, we used to watch our favorite shows on televisions and listen to the shows which aired on radios. Cloud has brought about a revolution in entertainment industry as well. This industry uses cloud to deliver us content. We can watch movies, listen to our favorite songs anytime and from anywhere where the internet is available. Shopping. Cloud has revolutionized e-shopping. The Amazons, Flipkarts, Mintras, I'm sure you've experienced it a lot more. Two or three of these industries which I am particularly excited about are healthcare, education, and communications. Some doctors' offices have established cloud-based patient portals where important health data are accessible. Digital records of patients are stored in clouds by hospitals or healthcare service providers. Universities are now offering online courses across the country. The information, lessons, and material used for learning are stored in cloud. Now students can access requested tutorials and study materials anytime, anywhere. Cloud also allows users to enjoy network-based communication tools such as emails, messaging. Remember the apps like Gmail, WhatsApp? These are all on cloud-based infrastructures. These are some of the top brands, not the only ones that use cloud. You can see it's pretty much all sectors of commerce and trade. Top of the chart is ISRO, For as an Indian of the topic, I share and PLEA too shares the joy with every Indian on account of the success of back-to-back two missions, the Chandrayaan 3 and Aditya that took off today morning. Thank you. Here are some of the key benefits of cloud computing. Cost reduction. Cloud computing works on the concept of pay per use. Cloud computing helps in reducing the expense of company as the resources are acquired only when they are needed and payment is made per usage. Scalability. This is a key benefit of cloud technology as the client has flexibility to scale up and even scale down the resources and infrastructure as per the requirements of organization. Flexibility. Cloud computing provides a lot of flexibility. Customer or users are free to decide about the services which they want to use and pay per use. Also, users have the option to switch from one cloud to another. Provides almost unlimited storage. Well, users can store a lot more data on cloud than their own local physical storage devices. Moreover, we saw scalability and flexibility. Disaster recovery. A business using cloud service need not prepare complex disaster recovery backup mechanism for the cloud service provider takes care of such issues and helps the client to recover faster during disaster. Now, just before the presentation, I was thinking about the impact of cloud computing on society, and it occurs to me that cloud services are also being used to support social impacts. Cloud services may support the reduction of carbon emission. So for all of those who care about environment, cloud seems to be a real cool thing. Okay, presently some of the major challenges grappling cloud business are security and privacy. Though security and privacy continues to evolve, it is one aspect that forever gives sleepless nights to the technology experts. There are outages and downtime due to maintenance, excess load on servers, which impact user experience. Costs and operations ease generally are put to test while managing multi-cloud environments. There are huge commercial benefits if you lock in with a vendor for longer duration of time, but that has its own perils. Lock in with inappropriate vendor would meaning who cannot fulfill requirements is a major challenge. Last yet certainly not the least, interoperability, though not as much, continues to be a major challenge. System talking to system, users having to juggle among systems and applications, leave apart in case of mishap. Overall accountability for resolution continues to be a concern today. However, an assurance, none of these challenges outweigh the benefits of leveraging cloud services. Okay, all the lawyers who've been listening to me, now it's time for me to listen to you. Tell me what you believe are vital, most essential clauses required in a contract for cloud computing and state the reason why you believe these are essential. And I'll give you a hint. Think of services and let me know what your thoughts are.
Hello. Main thing over here would be like data protection and like conservation of the data. I'm not getting the exact word, like the data should not get corrupt in between if I'm sharing a data which is very, very sensitive for me.
That is absolutely correct. With the advent of now we having the data protection regulation in place, this is even a bigger responsibility on all the cloud service providers. And you're absolutely correct. We need provisions in the contract which provide enough safeguards, not only with respect to data handling, but also data processing. Thank you, Nagesh. That's spot on. For ease and ready reference, I have provided you the terms and conditions that SAS, the organization that I serve, uses. This is not just because I work for the best analytics company in the world, which SAS is, but because the terms and conditions cover the operational, the functional, the financial, and the legal aspects essential for cloud-based managed services. That said, we'll keep your comments and thoughts coming in.
That data confidentiality is also, and some statutory overseas that also take place for cloud information.
That is right. That is absolutely correct. Okay, let me provide you some more hints to probe in questions. How about security breaches and security audits? How vital do you believe is this from cloud computing perspective? Okay, let me answer this for you myself. Security management and security audits form a big part of cloud computing, especially if you remember the pyramid that I shared as a part of my presentation. There is a cloud infrastructure service provider who has been processed, in which the data that is received from the customer is processed. How is that handled? How is that handled vis-a-vis the likes of SaaS who are providing an application and over and above the cloud services provider? So there are these security aspects at not one but multiple places as a part of the engagement. The other ones include access controls and mechanisms. So it's very easy for us to log into Amazon Prime and decide what movie or what song we want to listen to. But what goes behind? What are the mechanisms that allow you, the end user, just what the OTT platform wants you to? These are broadly a part of the access control and the mechanisms that form a part of the engagement. Any thoughts on service level warranties, representations, indemnities?
Sorry, Digish, sorry, I come in here late. There is a huge concern because when we go for cloud services, we understand the ease of use. We are happy with the commercial aspect because we don't have to pay too much. It's convenience for us. But we really don't know what's going to happen to our data that we are putting up there. We have no clue because there's nobody really telling you where your data is going, who all are looking at your data, and what is this? I mean, they can write whatever terms and conditions, that is fine. We are reading those terms and conditions. Actually, is it happening or not? I mean, how do we know that? That's very important for us. And we trust them because we don't have any option. So we have to trust them because there are not too many of people who are really guiding you on this thing as to what all you are supposed to see, what are you supposed to check when you go for a cloud service. If I'm going to Google, if I'm going to Apple, if I'm going to some other person, everybody has got their own terms and conditions, and terms and conditions are fine. You have to click yes and then proceed further. That's about it. So how do we? So what
right,
we do?
everybody's walking the I agree way, right?
Yeah.
Right. So this is really a good question, and I'll tell you what. Whensoever, as a lawyer, you're dealing with a contract on cloud-based services,
Yeah.
okay, split the contract, slice and dice it into three parts. Okay, the operational part for which your IT team is very well trained and suited, your financial part for which your business team and commercial team is well suited,
Yeah.
and then the terms and conditions. Now, in the case or in the specific instance that you mentioned, let's say you're entering into a relationship with Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. It's good to trust, okay, and I'm not against distrusting. However, being lawyers, I would do a little more than just trust, and that is ask questions. Okay,
Correct.
like you've just rightly asked. If I were you, I would request the AWS or the Azure to send me, and I will tell you what, you will be very pleasantly surprised that
Yes.
all of them have a mechanism, a robust policy in place to ensure data handling. Once you've received it, I lay a bet, if you and me, and I'm assuming that you're a lawyer yourself, if you and me could comprehend it, okay, we would have been doing cloud computing and not understanding what a cloud computing or a cloud
Exactly. That's exactly what's been happening. Correct. Yeah.
right. So please feel free to leverage your IT team, right? And as lawyers, you can validate the authenticity of the policies coming in from the likes of AWS, Microsoft Azure, and the like. So I would say, after you have seen this as a lawyer, please certify that yes, I have seen this, my IT team understands this, and that we are comfortable to having it as a part of the contract. And thank you so much for bringing this principle out. This
Yes,
is
in fact,
very essential.
I will bring in more of this. You go ahead with your presentation. I will then come in. You'll be touching it probably later on the security aspect. Then we'll talk about it. Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. Okay. The other interesting and most essential part of the contract, being lawyers in this presentation, are of course the representations and the indemnities. Other than the standard services based representations and indemnities, there are a few of these representations that you must have in place. Again, the representations will vary basis the cloud managed services engagement that you're a part of. For all of these terms and conditions will be different if you're engaging directly with the infrastructure service provider, and the same will vary if you are sourcing software as a services model. Okay, and the reason why I say this is, from an infrastructure services provider, analogically think of it as you are using a leasehold property or a property on leave and license, versus if you're availing a software as a services, analogically try and understand it as if you're checking into a hotel. You don't have to manage things on your own, the hotel does it for you. You don't have to take care of your needs. The hotel does it for you. Versus in a leasehold premise or a premise which you've got for yourself on a leave and license basis, most things, if not all, are an onus or a burden on you. Again, are you in this alone? Answer is a no. Please feel free to leverage the IT team, for they are extremely well suited to understand most of these nuances. Okay, that said, these have already been some intelligent conversations, and surprising enough, this is pretty much an overview on cloud service that I have for you today. I will open up the floor, and before I take on more question and answers, let me know if any one of you had any notes that you wanted me to speak on that I've not covered. For those of you who are on LinkedIn and not professionally connected, may I request that you please scan the QR code. I would love to stay updated about your professional life. Those who are students, new to profession and not on LinkedIn, I would encourage you to please be on board and let me be the first one who you add as a part of your professional network. That said, I leave the floor open for question and answers. Okay, I have a first question, and our question is, please explain hybrid cloud with an example. Interesting enough, ISRO is a classic example of hybrid cloud. ISRO has its own private cloud, and they have been leveraging Microsoft Azure. Okay, like I explained, in hybrid cloud, the way the model works is almost every bit which is absolutely all the information, all the data which is absolutely vital and essential are stored on private cloud, while those of the computations, etc., which needs to be used or leveraged for all the projects to come, they are stored on public cloud, and that's how it makes it a hybrid. Okay, I see you're asking about a cloud agreement. So the cloud agreement, like I said, varies from model to model. Okay, I am pretty certain and confident that you'll receive this slide deck after the presentation or after the session today is over. Please feel free to go through the agreements that SaaS uses. Like I said, these are twofold arrangements. SaaS offers software as a services kind of a model, and therefore the agreement has terms and conditions with respect to what SaaS is offering, and has back-to-back terms and conditions, including service level agreements that Microsoft Azure offers as a part of package. It has terms and conditions, including with respect to data privacy, data protection, and data handling. One more question which says, what if cloud provider lost our data? Okay, thank you so much for asking. How is the cloud data, how is data managed on cloud? Okay, interesting enough, the data which is processed on cloud, very likely, in fact, it's almost essential as a part of business to be having a data backup. Okay, so let's say I am Patanjali. I have a huge data which I want to get processed through cloud. Very likely, I will have my, think of Patanjali or think of a bank, okay, SDFC Bank. Very likely that the bank will have data backup for itself. In case if the data is processed as a part of the cloud infrastructure service provider, the cloud infrastructure service provider also has backup mechanisms. And I don't know a lot of these, but I can tell you Microsoft Azure, and by the way, I'm not promoting any of these, I'm just giving you information so that they are factually backed. Microsoft Azure saves data which is processed through them for a period of T plus 20 days, which means if the data is provided as a part of the cloud services infrastructure today, it is going to be preserved for, it is going to be backed up for another 20 days. Now, it's pointless debating whether 20 days is enough or you need 200 days, because generally the businesses which use cloud computing would need output either on a real-time basis or a near real-time basis. So from that point of view, in my humble view, basis the understanding of technology, 2 days are sufficient, but some of these cloud providers provide a backup for 20 days. Primary difference between cloud and FTP, Nagesh, I would suggest we take this offline because it's too technical a discussion and I don't want to cloud the others with confusion. But if you may kindly allow, that'll be nice of you. But I assure you, I am very willing to have this conversation with you separately. Okay. Which platforms are used for large scale cloud computing? Like I said, there are many of them. The two most popular ones are Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure. But I am sure we have Google Cloud, and there are several others who are big players as well. Now, the question is, how do we proceed if there is a breach in cloud contract, whether cloud or an on-prem license or just another services, the agreement or the fundamentals of contract will continue to apply. Breach of contract will have to be established. Damages arising on account of breach will have to be ascertained, presented to the cloud service provider. In case it is agreed and understood, excellent, you can resolve it. If not, it will fall into the realm of dispute resolution. So if your contract has a provision for arbitration, very likely you may want to take the dispute to arbitration. If not, parties are free to arbitrate, or you'll have to take it to the court where the jurisdiction applies. That said, one of the things that I appreciate about the cloud contracts is, you remember in one of the challenges I mentioned that there are issues with respect to maintenance of cloud, and therefore that may result into downtime. Right now, allow me to articulate how big a challenge is this. Imagine you are wanting to do a transaction through one of these online applications, let's say Paytm or your bank's application portal, and the cloud is down and you're not able to make that transfer. Right, as a user, you're dissatisfied, you're not able to achieve the transaction, leading to consequential challenges, so on and so about. Interesting enough, these are already thought through issues by the cloud service providers, and as a result, you will have service level agreements and service level penalties built into the contract. And what I mean by that, so for every a certain downtime beyond the agreed and understood downtime, there will be a certain penalty which is a part of the contract mechanism itself.
Now
Yes, please.
there will be sharing of data from the cloud to a specific group of people, or you can say a specific company, and it will another set will be for the general public at large. So the contract will vary according to that. There will be different terms and conditions.
Excellent question, Nagesh. Answer is a no. Okay. The terms and conditions will not vary. In fact, the way it will work is the IT team, the IT user team who uses the cloud infrastructure will set mechanisms along with the cloud service provider such that there is only certain amount of visibility to the data to the group of IT users, and there will be a certain access rights given to the likes of the end users. And I'll give you an example. When you use your bank's portal, you don't necessarily get right to what goes behind when you see a certain output, and that's what this is. So do you need separate levels of terms and conditions for it? Answer is a no. But do you need separate level of security mechanisms for it? Answer is a yes, and your IT team will take care of it.
Can I rephrase again? It is like I
Most
watch a
certainly,
movie. I
yes.
watch a movie on Amazon, and then there are media
Yes.
offices, like for example, a film distributor. He has put the film on the cloud, which all the theaters access it and show it in their cinema theaters. Now they have a different set of keys to access it, and the general public watching on Amazon have different set of keys to watch it. So they will be, I think, having a different platform or storage, or you can say barriers to access it.
So yes, so let's pick Amazon Prime as an example. Okay, and again, the same principle applies to all OTT platforms. How the way it is structured is, as a user, okay, who subscribed to watching movies and other theater as a part of Amazon Prime, has the viewer's right only. Okay, and all the norms around what goes behind, especially with respect to confidentiality, etc., are taken care of in a different set of agreement between Amazon Prime and the production house. So let's say Amazon Prime has put on a certain movies by a certain production house. Okay, there will be an arrangement in a contract between Amazon Prime and the production house. Does that have any bearing on Nagesh or Digish seeing the movie? Answer is a no.
Okay, thank you.
What is stopping WhatsApp from starting its own hybrid cloud?
So this is an interesting question, and this is more academic in nature. When a organization takes a decision to move on to cloud, okay, or takes a decision whether not to move on to cloud, there are many parameters that are factored. Okay, and it also depends on what is the scale and size of an organization. So with the number of users and the quantity of content that goes on to WhatsApp, the likes of WhatsApp would consider is what is the cost of running this versus what is the likely revenue to be generated out of this. What is going to be the cost of maintaining the cloud if they have their own environment versus if they are availing cloud as a service from a service provider. Also, they would sensitively look into the aspects around data security, like we mentioned and discussed as a part of this session. So there are several of these parameters. Again, it'll be interesting for you to kind of stay ignited and find out what are the considerations that the companies have before deciding whether cloud or no cloud. Because after they have decided yes, cloud, will then come the next question as to, okay, private, public, or hybrid. The gist of the question, and the gist of the question was, how do we know that the data which was processed through the cloud service provider after the end of services is deleted? And yes, there is a provision with respect to it in the contract which suggests that within a certain stipulated time you have to write, right? So there are a couple of things to note, understand, and appreciate here. Cloud service provider is literally providing services in the form of space.
Yes.
It is absolutely not essential for the cloud service provider to keep your data stored after the services are over. Okay.
No, I appreciate that. But the point is that there might be some data wherein somebody might be lured to misuse that data in some way.
Now, that is an apprehension.
Yeah, it's an apprehension. Sure, it's an apprehension.
That's right. And I will tell you why is that apprehension not correct. Okay. The apprehension is not correct because think about this. Let's say you are an insurance company, okay, and you put your data on public cloud. By the way, public cloud does not mean putting data in public domain. Public cloud would still mean that you have a dedicated space in cloud for your business.
Correct.
Okay. Correct. Right. Now, what happens is as soon as your contract is over or terminated, the data in the cloud space will be deleted and terminated. And there is an alternate way as well, which I will tell you as to how do you figure that out. I can assure you that the termination happens and there is no misuse of data because cloud service provider is in the business of providing cloud as a service and not running an insurance business. Just like how they are not a bank, they are not a bank.
I totally appreciate that. But for example, I'll just give you an example. For example, if there is an image company, for example, they have images there. They have put their images on the cloud, and they are stored on the cloud. And these are important images. I mean, anybody can use these images if they want. So how do we make sure that nobody else uses that images and it doesn't get into the hands of someone else who can misuse it? That's what I wanted to know.
So the alternate way, remember that I was wanting to hint at, you can always have a certificate signed by the authority, okay, which assures you that the data is terminated. In extreme cases, and I'll tell you, we have clients we have customers who are regulators in nature, the likes of Reserve Bank of India and the like. With them, what we do is we actually have their IT team be a part of the process where we are terminating where we are deleting the data which is provided on cloud. So there are these mechanisms which you may want to advise as lawyers to your organization to ensure that indeed and not just in spirit, the letter of contract is
happening. This is happening.
Nice.
This is happening. They can't really be afraid of that it's going to be misused somewhere. Because, for banks also, sometimes one starts thinking like that. Because if the bank database, for example, gets breached for some reason, then that's a serious issue. So, but I hope it doesn't happen that way.
It's more than trust aspect here. But yes, thanks for asking.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
There is somebody who's asking if there is any basic material. In fact, you remember I said I have gifts for almost all of you. I don't know, Malvika, if you're able to share the last slide of my presentation. I have actually pulled out training courses which are available online on cloud, and I am pleased to inform that some of these are free of cost. There is no fees to it. I would encourage all of you to just take this presentation and our time together as a medium to start something bigger, better for yourself and not just stop here. And that's why these are some of these. And again, PLEA or myself, we are not endorsing any of these courses. And I remember somebody asked, we are lawyers. Do we really need to know IT? And I would say, you need to know IT to the tune you are able to do justice as a lawyer and not becoming engineers after this course. So these courses are not aimed or targeted at making us lawyers engineers, because we are very happy and pleased being lawyers and we let the engineers do what they are good at.
Well, everybody has to learn at least to the extent of start filing digital applications in the court.
True. And by and large, I can assure after COVID, all of us lawyers have become sufficiently tech
Absolutely.
savvy. I wouldn't say we
There's a
become
need,
experts.
there's a great need to do that. It's very important. Yeah.
True. I am a true believer of, asatoma sadgamaya, meaning in life only knowledge should prevail and not darkness. So think through what we understood today. Take a course or two. Please become friend with cloud and stay connected to every big thing happening in the area of cloud. For cloud is one of the biggest things of this decade.
Sure, sir. So thank you so much for such an illuminating talk. It was really a great learning experience. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure.